What's up, Panthers Nation? How you guys doing? Welcome to the Keep Pounding live stream. I got a lot to cover today, so let's get to it. Uh, First thing is the running back coach Jim Skipper retired, and the team has hired Jake Peets. Now, I did not have enough time to look him up, so hopefully somebody's got some information about him. If you do, leave it in the comments below, and I'll read it and check him out. And I'll give you a shout out in the next video. Uh, Next thing, Funches will not be re-signed. That's a big one. Captain will was released. That's a big news item right there. I've been pushing for Captain's release for the longest time. Finally, finally. Ugh, I never agreed with him coming back to Charlotte to start with. The only reason he did come back is because we needed a veteran corner and he knew our system, which doesn't say much for how desperate we were if we had to go back to him. Um, and if I remember right, that was the year we actually drafted Bradbury. So that was about 2 years ago. This is 2 years out of the three of his contract, so he is now gone. And it did not cost us money to do it. So props to the front office. They got some brains up there. I'm happy with that one. Very happy. Um, Now, Mike Adams was released. Uh, that's a tough one for me. I like Mike. I felt like he did really well. He had a rough year. The whole defense really did last year. So that's a really tough one for me, whether I approve of that one or not. Um, you know, I'm 50-50 on the fence on that one. I felt like his coverage was garbage. His tackling was lackluster last year, which, I mean, everybody's was. So, I mean, since the whole defense was just bad in general, take it with a grain of salt. So, with that money, we re signed Jared Norris, the linebacker, to a 2 year deal, which I agree with. Damian Parms, we re signed for a 1 year deal, and I sort of agree with that one. I wasn't too big of a fan of Parms, to be honest. If you go back to training camp videos from earlier 2018, you'll see that I was not entirely on board with Parms. I thought he looked okay during training camp, but I wasn't, you know, I don't know. I feel like Parms is an experiment in our depth right now, and we need a veteran safety, which we re-signed Eric Reed, so we're solid there. Um, so I mean, since we have Eric Reed, we can now experiment with Parms. I think that's what the management is thinking right now. Um, so the next topic of discussion is DJ Moore. He led the wide receivers in yards after the contact with 273 in his rookie season. Way to go, DJ Moore. Like, everybody's been high up on this guy, and the second we drafted him, I was happy. I felt like, we got a winner, and we could immediately put him to use out in our wide receiver core, and he's going to do a lot of damage. which he did. I'm very happy to say he did. He was probably the most consistent wide receiver that we had last year. That's arguable, though. I'll leave that for a debate for people to discuss. But that's my opinion. Is I think he was the most consistent one because he kept getting open. I kept noticing him. You know, all year long, and I kept noticing his name pop up in my notes. So when I looked over him after the season was over, every week he would just put up a highlight reel, of some sort. Yeah, a few of them were bad. A few of them were fumbles. Yeah, he had a few drops. But, I mean, and I know people are probably going to trash me for that one, for just saying a few in quotation marks. I'm waiting for that comment in the comment section, by the way. I know people like to do that. So, I'm waiting for that one. But, after those moves, we were looking at 16.5 million in cap space, roughly, and that's before we re-signed Damian Parms and Jared Norris. So, and as I'm looking at these notes right now, there's been a lot of talk about Antonio Brown from the Steelers. There's been some talk about Earl Thomas III from the Seahawks. Um, Obviously, Quentin Dix is still on the free agent list. We're looking for a defensive end. There's a couple more that I have on my list that I mentioned in a previous video that I'm looking at. And the newest today is Dwayne Allen. The Patriots released him. Um, they're not going to re-sign him. So, that's a big one. I think the next topic of discussion, as far as re-signing, is Colin Jones and Darryl Williams. Those two specifically are our next questionable players. Should we re-sign either one of them? And I say Darryl Williams, yes. Very, very much yes. When he's healthy, he's a very effective force for our offensive line. And I think we need him. Colin Jones, that's another subject of a debate right there. I I want to get this debate started because nobody else is really talking about him. Nobody else is discussing him. And I want to get this started because our secondary is a mess. Let's face it, it's reality. It's fact. Look at the stats, look at the scores, look at the games from 2018. It's a fact. Our secondary is trash right now. So, Marty right now is cleaning out the house on the secondary. You got Julius Peppers that retired. There was some random ESPN article saying that he had not officially announced his retirement or something like that. And I was like, okay, ESPN, take it with a grain of salt. I I shared it with a few people, got some opinions, you know. You know, everyone's skeptical, but I mean, I don't want to make a big deal out of this because I think it's going to turn into nothing. So, you know, if you're interested in it, go look it up. But If you're not, just throw it out. But I don't see any merit in that article just yet. So anyway, you got Thomas Davis that's gone now. Mike Adams is gone now. Captain's gone now. So that's four veterans. That's four veterans that have been around for forever on this defense. Now I'm not saying that all four of them were great. I'm just saying that that's four veterans. You know, Marty's cleaning house. So, with those moves, I'm not sure how much cap space we have right now, as of right now today, when I'm recording this video or this live stream. But I know that it was 16.5 or roughly around there. I think it was specifically 16.7 or something like that. I don't know. Nobody told me the exact number, but that's before the two re-signings. So here we go. One more subject to consider here before we get into the NFL Combine stuff, which is the main attraction of this live stream. Someone posted a picture on Instagram of the most rushing yards by quarterbacks. And I found this really interesting. And I'm going to read you off the list. And I think you'll like this list. But this is currently, I don't know whether this is career or just last year. I think it's career. I'm not entirely sure. They didn't specifically say what it was on the Instagram post. But you got Lamar Jackson, top of the list, 697. Josh Allen, 631. Watson, 551 from the Houston Texans. Josh Allen is from the Bills, if you're not familiar with him. And then you got Cam and fourth with 488. Trubisky, 421. He's gotten up there. In the past few years, I'm really impressed with Trubisky. You got Russell Wilson with 376. Blake Bortles with the Jaguars, 365. Marcus Mariota, 357. You know all those are going to be high. Here's the surprise. Dak Prescott, 305. And Jameis Winston, 284. And that is currently, I think, career rushing yards, quarterbacks. Just the fact that, Lamar Jackson, Watson, and Cam are all in the top three. Josh Allen was kind of the surprise. I was not expecting him to have 631 up to this point. So that was kind of the surprise for me. You've seen a little bit more of Dak Prescott running more. Bortles was more of a pocket passer before they started moving him around. So that was interesting. Trubisky, as I remember, was more of a pocket passer than a runner. So that's interesting. But the rest of these guys, you knew and expected them to run. You knew it. And you planned your defense around that as defensive coordinators in the league. So it's not that much of a surprise that Cam Newton is about over 100 yards more than Russell Wilson, but up to that point in both their careers, which accumulated most of his yards during the first 3 years. Before that, concu- before the concussion, before his shoulder injuries, so not a big surprise there, right? Um, anyway, I just thought that was really interesting. That was a stat worth looking at. But we're gonna get into the NFL Combine. It has started this week. We are at what is it, day 2 or day 3 now? I don't know how they count these. Um, because I don't really keep up with the combine that much. Um, but the Panthers have met with three offensive. Well, all four are offensive players. So let's take a look at those. And I'll save the one that everybody's been talking about for last. Dalton Rinster. Rinser. I'm sorry, I probably butchered that name. Rinsner. I can never get it right. That is such a weird last name. But Dalton Rinsner. I think I got it right. Offensive line from Kansas State. Uh, I watched him a little bit. He's pretty good. Uh, you got Garrett Bradbury from NC State, the center. Uh, and to be fair, NC State did give my Clemson Tigers a little trouble. So, I'm watching all of these players that give us trouble, and I'm committing those names to memory, writing them down. Because you're going to see them in the combine. You're going to see them in the NFL draft. You're going to see them in rookie year playing against your team. So, and playing against our Panthers. So, most of them, of course. But, yeah, NC State had a really interesting offense. And Garrett Bradbury looked really solid calling those plays, man. Like, I I have to say, he looked natural. He looked like he knew what he was doing. And he's more of a pass protection and run protection, so that kind of gives you an idea of who he is. Uh, as far as the combine numbers, I do not have those currently. But if you want those, go look them up. They should be on NFL's website, or I guess there's some other websites out there that have them. But the next biggest one is Mitch Hyatt, offensive lineman from Clemson. From my Clemson Tigers, the national champs. You know, uh, I don't know what it is about Clemson players, but our management will not hire Clemson players. And it drives me crazy because you look at the success these players have had over the past 5 years. We've won two national championships in Clemson. Two. Not one, two. We're we made three national championship appearances or playoff appearances straight. If that doesn't tell you we need to at least sign one or two Clemson players out of the next three drafts, I don't know what does. I don't know what to tell management if they don't take advantage of these opportunities when they're provided for them. then I don't know what to tell you. If you want an offensive lineman, Bama or Clemson are the two obvious choices. You want an offensive lineman, you want a center, you want a guard, go to those two places. We got Mitch Hyatt and we got an offensive lineman from Bama on the radar for the combine. So, management, get on it. You know, don't miss your chance. Because there's only a certain number of good offensive tackles on that list. Now is the time to focus on the offensive line. Not 3 years later, well, we wish we would have done it. Not 7 years down the road, when we have another 8-8 season, and Ron's fired for it. When he said this offseason that he's going to protect our quarterback, he's on a mission to protect our quarterback. Meanwhile, he's saying, "Oh, we're not going to sign any more quarterbacks in free agency." And I'm like, "Huh? Excuse me? Have y'all not been paying attention to what Gilbert is doing in the AAF right now? This man is slinging it. You got a 4-0 record for the Orlando Apollos. Gilbert threw some of the most incredible passes I've seen in a long time from a third string quarterback. I think we ought to at least have a competition with him and Heineke for that third spot, because y'all are dropping the ball on that one. I want to see that competition happen in training camp next year. Cam, Kyle Allen, second spot. Battle for third. Gilbert and Heineke. That's what I want to see in training camp. When I go down there in September, that's what I want to see. At the end of September, we should have a winner. We should have a winner for that third spot. And I hope you guys do consider Gilbert mad. I hope you do. Because if you don't, you are seriously missing a great opportunity. Which, there's about 2 or 3 teams out there that if we drop the ball, they will be on it. So we cannot afford this. However, I do caution our management to use very, very strict caution on the cap space. That being said, here is the one offensive lineman that everybody's been talking about. Gregg Little from Ole Miss. There's been a lot of buzz about him. His name has been popping up a lot. Now, I watched a little bit of him. He's impressive. But again, this is the third straight year we're looking at a very, very shallow offensive line market in this draft. So this is going to be a really interesting draft and combine. So we're just going to watch and see what happens. And hope for the best. So, yeah, they are also looking for a running back similar to Christian McCaffrey as well. That's been mentioned a lot. I think I covered pretty much everything in this live stream. So, If you guys would do me a favor and hit that like button. If you are new, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of this information, of this content, of my opinions. And hit that bell so you can see more videos and live streams as they come. I have been very, very busy, so I have not gotten a chance to get to the videos on Gettleman and Marty Herney, so be patient. Those are coming. And I'm still gathering information. I've had a lot to do outside of this channel, so we'll see what happens. But those videos and that series will happen very soon. Hope you guys enjoyed this. And the reason for the lack of content is because of the Panthers off season. So you'll be seeing a lot less videos than normal. But be patient. Keep checking the channel about every week, probably week and a half. You'll see another one up. Definitely within 2 weeks. But the schedule, as I mentioned before, is going to be, there's going to be one video before the draft of what I think our draft strategy should be, who is on the board that I've been hearing the names of a lot, and opinions from people around me. I'll give them shout outs. I'll give them words of encouragement in those videos, in that particular video. And we'll prepare ourselves for the draft. So it's going to be the Gettleman videos first, and then the Marty ones. So that's the schedule right now. We're going to resume after that with free agency, and then start preparing for the 2019 season. As I mentioned before, I will be at the training camp in Wofford again this year. Marty plans on putting a bubble over the training camp place, so that's going to be interesting. We'll see how that's going to work out. This is most likely going to be the last training camp that you'll see in Wofford. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys soon. Always remember, on this channel, we are brothers, we are family, we are sisters, we are family. We are always family. Represent yourselves well. Represent your team well. Represent your city well. And as always, keep pounding.